Hey, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So our last session, we were discussing about the Linux, some of the Linux basics. So we'll continue with the same thing. So first, let's start with the virtual machine. So let's go to the virtual machine and so create a virtual machine. And I'll choose create a new resource group and say, and like we were, or at least I have been seeing from a couple of people, there are challenges in getting the uh, capacity in East US. So maybe now you can switch to other regions also. So here I have just extended the image to other regions. So I have extended this to other regions as well. So you can at least choose a couple of these regions wherever you have capacity. So maybe let me choose Europe. Okay, so here I have chosen the Europe image. It also came automatically the Europe one. All right. So now here you can also even go for a lesser size also, like maybe this is even the bigger size image. So even you can get it like maybe 1 CPU, 1 GB of RAM also you're getting. So you can just simply use that. I'm not sure whether, I mean, it is enough, but let's see. Okay, I'll give it a try. Let's go with 1 CPU, 1 GB of RAM. At least for unless until we run the application for Linux, it should be more than enough. Okay, so I'll go for the same setup. All good. So let's hit on create. So let's go to here. Let's open Killer Coda. If not logged in, let's log in. And I am already there. So we can go with the Linux basics that we have been seeing. And yesterday we have talked about a couple of commands, by the way. So just to recall those commands. So yesterday we talked about a VI editor. So maybe I asked you to use /bin/VI. So this is yet to fix. Maybe I'll try to fix in a day or two. So directly working. So this is something. And after that, we talked about SCD editor. And after that, we talked about how do you see the content by using a cat command and a grep command, a WK command, and a head and tail commands. So these are the commands to deal with the content of a file. Okay. Next is we talked about a couple of utilities, which is basically like curl command to browse and download, and followed with the tar command to extract the files, and whereas unzip to extract the zip files. Until here, we have discussed in yesterday's session. So let's continue to the next things. I think as a part of Linux basics, the most of the things are completed. So the only leftover things here is there is this one concept which is called as pipe symbol. Yeah. So there is one thing called as pipes, by the way. So we would like to use pipes. So for an example, if you wanted to use pipes, and the use of pipes is you want to send the output of first one command to another command without storing the content anywhere in the physically in the disk. So that means you wanted to send the output of first command or any command, by the way, you would like to send it to the second command. So then use a pipe symbol in between. For an example, cat etc password is going to have a lot of content. And from this, you can just pipe it and grep for root. So you can see that. So it is actually coming. The first command output is going as an input to the second command. Okay. So this is how we can do that. All right. So that's about pipes. But however, you have one small scenario that I would like to explain. So let me create a file, touch sample for an example, and do ls. You will see sample. Now, ls sample is going to give you the sample file name. And you pipe view rm. What is the purpose of rm command? It is going to remove the file, right? So then what it is telling is, hey, rm command, whatever you run empty command, the same error you are getting. So the output of ls command or any command sending to the rm command is not receiving the input over the pipe symbol. Now, before using any command within the pipes, you have to ensure is that the command supported by pipe symbol. Okay. So then how do you know is some trial and error method is a straightforward approach. Okay. Otherwise, I'm reading some sort of a documentation wherever it is available. But at least with my experience, I would say like trial and error method is best thing. If you are unaware that that command is going to support a pipe symbol, just go and try to give some trial and find out with some sort of trial and error methods. So that's what I would suggest. Okay. So that's where now this rm command is actually is the one which is not going to support a pipe symbol. Okay. Then what is the option if you wanted to use that one? So then that's where a third party, another command comes into picture as a help. Now with the same thing, you are going to give to the xargs now. Okay. So xargs actually is going to take the input. All right. And you are going to view rm command. So now the xargs I'm telling rm is the command I wanted to run. And also since I'm using after pipe symbol of xargs will understand, okay, I will receive the output from pipe symbol. Okay, let me receive. And there's a right hand side, there's a command. Okay, xargs will take both the things and inside it, what it is going to do is rm sample, it will run. Okay, now that's how you will use, that sample is get removed now. Okay. So this is the concept of pipes. And also in the pipe symbol, so not only one command by the way, so you can go with multiple pipes as well at the same time. So that means, so cat /etc password, and let's say pipe grep for root and pipe, awk -f, it's a colon. Okay. So print $1. Okay. So pipe head -n1 like this, you can take it. Okay. Like pipe, you can go. There is a limitation, I think, but that does not matter. So you usually will not hit any limitations. So that's how you have the pipe concept. The command one output send as an input to the second command. Make sense? Any questions on this? All right. So the next concept is Linux administration. So we are going with the Linux administration. So here it just mentions create an EC tool. Basically, this is mentioned for AWS. Forget about that. Already creating a virtual machine, right? So let's ignore that. And let me update the documentation also. Okay. All right. So let me just start from here. And even before to this, let me go and try to connect to the box which I have created, server. So here is the server I have created. All right, done. Cool. So the next is, let's start with the administrative topics, by the way, are some commands now from now on. It is going to be done by not just by normal user, at least by some sort of a professional kind of a thing. So we are going to be the engineers on the system. So we are going to perform certain activities on the system. So which is not the just the normal user. Okay. So we're going to perform little, more, we're going to perform a little bit more than just a normal user, I would say. Like, when I say more, by the way, like, may not be really executed by every normal user who logs into the system. Like, will be done by some sort of a professional or some sort of a kind of a work who does some more elevated work, by the way. Okay. So that's where, so we're going to start with something called as process management. So what is this process management is, especially in the Red Hat family OS, and of course, it is same for every Linux operating system. Every command that we are going to execute is going to run in this operating system as a process, and this process is going to hold some unique number. Okay, and that unique number is called as process ID, which is called as PID as a shortcut, PID or process ID. All right, so this particular process, you wanted to see the list of process in the system. So then there is a command available for you, which is called as a PS command. So PS command is going to show you the list of process. PS command is going to show you the list of process. Now here I logged into the server. So the PS command is showing there is one process which is running called as bash, by the way. Okay, let me open another shell to the same server. Okay, so now here, if I give PS, so here you're getting a different process. So here you have a bash, its own process 1249. Here you have a bash 1330, it has its own process. And Linux is a multi-user, multi-session operating system. Okay, multi-session operating system. So that means single user can open multiple sessions, no problem. So that's where I opened just two putty windows. Okay. Now, if you need all the process running by this particular user, so then ps-u is the option. So now it is showing me both the process 1249 from here, 1330 from here. The ps-u is showing all the process belongs to this user which I logged in, which is this user. Now, whereas I want everything process in the system, by the way, so every process in the system, so then ps-e, so this is every process that is running in the system. All right. And a little bit more details that you're looking for. So ps-e-f, little bit, okay, more details that you're going to get it. So more fields you're asking. So then -f. So then you're going to get a little bit more columns and some details. Okay. Now out of this, so you can probably search for grep for bash. You can search for, so you can see that process are coming. But yeah, so ps-ef is going to show you all the process. Now, out of ps-ef, so there are two important things that you need to understand. The process is going to show you, the ps-ef is going to show you the process which is run by which user. Okay, so it is run by which user it is showing. Okay, and it shows its process also, process ID. And another number, very important number it shows over here is who is the parent of the process. So that means any process created in the system is going to be created by some other process. And who is that some other process created this process? The parent of the process it is showing you here. And ultimately, every process will land up with two different process. Okay. The first two parents of the process is 1 and 2. Okay. The two process, when the operating system is actually coming up, there are two processes which is going to come up. Process number 1, process number 2. Now, all the user related programs will bind to process number 1. Okay. Now you take any process, you end up going to the process number 1. But there are some process which is ending with process number 2 as a parent is here. These process, you don't manage them. These process, you can't manage them. You can't deal with them. Okay. So only the process ending with 1, you can see that. So for an example, you take 1330, who is the parent? 1329. 1329, you go here, who is the parent? 1322. 1322, who is the parent? 1025. And 1025, if you go for who is the parent, ended with 1. Okay, these are okay, at least on the operating system. So there is these are the process which any admin user, okay, any person who want to manage the process, it has to end with 1, or all the childs of 1 only we can manage. All the childs of 2 you can't manage. Okay, so those are system level process. Even the same applies to Windows also. Windows, you go to task manager, right click, open, and task manager open. You ask for show some system process. It will show you all the process. Try to end the, let's say there is a Chrome, you can end the process, but there is a system process and it will tell you, you can't deal with the process, isn't it? So the core of the operating system things, you can't deal with them. So here also it is going to be the same thing. Okay. So that's where the PS-EF is going to show you a very important information. So who is the user running and what is the process ID? Okay. Now, why are we talking that the process which is created by the user are basically like, let me put this way, forget about that. So next deck will tell you, so I mean, what is the importance of this particular process owner, by the way, but at this point of time, so this is how you got the process. Now, let's say I'm running some command here. For an example, there is a command called as sleep. I'm giving sleep for 400 seconds. So that's just the command wait for 400 seconds, does nothing. Now, I want some process which is running. So then there is a sleep command. Now I can go for PS-EF, pipe grep for sleep. I wanted to stop my process. There's a process running. Okay, I wanted to stop my process. Then what is the command that you are going to get over here is the kill command. So kill is a command. Okay, I'm going to deal with. So which is kill 1445, which is the process ID. If I give that particular process and if I hit enter, so then what is happening down? If you see this, it just got terminated. Okay. So now you can just start managing your process. So now you log into the system. Okay. You will find out your process. All right. And you will be dealing with your process. So how do you deal with your process? By using kill command. And okay, you can deal with those particular process. You can kill those process. Maybe again, you will start it. Okay. So whatever the reason it is, if you are to kill a process or stop a process, end the process, by the way, it is going to be a kill command. And let's try to do some simulation, by the way. So I'll try to do this. So this will, don't worry about that one. And even don't worry about this one. Okay. So I just did this to do some simulation. Now PS-EF, pipe grep for sleep. So some sleep process is coming. I will try to kill this particular process. So kill this particular process. Okay. Now previously you got a terminated message because it started here, but I'm not getting anything. Okay. That means the process is really not done anything. So if you go there, the process is still there. You kill it. It's not killing. I'm pressing up arrow, enter, running the command again and again. That's not killing. Okay. Now what is happening over here is we're trying to simulate a scenario, by the way, that's okay. But try to understand this process is a kind of a hung process, okay, or kind of not respecting your command. Okay. So sometimes this happens. You try to kill a process, it can't get killed because it is not respecting your instruction. Okay. Or else it was told that don't consider these instructions, like something like that. Or else sometimes what will happen is this process will get freezed, by the way, like hung and all. Hung is pretty rare, but still some chances it is there, especially it will happen around databases and all. But yeah, so it is kind of a hung. Now I wanted to go for a kind of a forceful kill on this one. I want to use my utmost privileges and I wanted to just, okay, so send, hey, whatever the reason it is, I want to kill you forcefully. Okay. So then in that particular case, the same kill command, we're going to use something called as -9 instruction. So that is going to give the process killed. Now you go and give ps-f for sleep, it's gone. And even it also gives the message here. So it is being killed also. It's giving. All right. So that is how you can start some processes, by the way, like whatever the process it is. You now from the process management. So what is our understanding is how to find out what are the process which is running by using the ps command. Okay. And also if I want to stop the process, so I know how to do the stopping the process. And while stopping also, I know how to stop them forcefully. Okay. It's not stop, by the way, it's like ending, completely ending. That's why we call it as killing here. Okay. So that's about a ps and kill command. Any questions? Questions? Okay. So then a couple of things that I have given for you to explore, by the way, is what happens if you kill to the childs when you kill a parent process. I mean, you have process number for parent also. Try to understand what happens for its childs. Okay. So what is an orphan process, by the way? Okay. So what is an orphan process or zombie process inside the system? So read about it. And there's also something called as process priority. Now, let's say I'm executing a command. This command, I wanted to give the utmost priority by the system. So how do you do that? And apart from ps command, there's also a command called as stop command. So please try to explore that particular command as well. So for process management. So that's about the process management. Now, what is the next thing is we wanted to do is our next topic is basically sudoers configuration. Now, for this sudoers configuration, what we'll do is we'll try to kill the process of any other user. Okay, fine. So that means here ps-ef, I'll take it. So I'll take some process. So for an example, there's a crony process. Okay. So some crony, that's okay. Some username, which is not us, that's okay. And I'm trying to kill the process. So what you're going to get is permission denied. Okay. Now, whatever the reason it is, I wanted to kill the process. Okay. The reasons could be n number of reasons. We're not bothering about the reasons, right? So we are bothering about, I mean, how to do it, right? So now I wanted to kill this process. I wanted to stop it. Now I'm not able to stop it, by the way, because it belongs to some other user. Now, how do you deal with this? So in companies, even though we know the root user password, so now in order to do this, what I have to do is I need to log into the system as root user, because root is administrator. In the operating system, root is an administrator. Windows also, you can't do every operation as a normal user. You have to log in as an administrator. There's a default username called as administrator. So here in Linux also, you have a default user called as root. and that user, you need to log in and deal with that. But however, as a process perspective in companies, we don't know the root user password. Okay, everyone will not have the root username password. Okay, and also another thing is we might not log in directly with the root user as well. Okay, so there is a configurations generally in the system, okay, which will deny the configuration. Okay, so saying that login with the root user is denied. Okay, so we are actually doing a server communication by using SSHD disable root login. Okay, so because if everyone is looking, okay, there is a keyword called as a permit root login, there'll be yes, you will need to mark it as no. If you do that, you can't log into the system as a root user. Okay, so root user is an administrator account. Everyone is logging as a root user. So how do I track the things? Who is doing what? How do I track the things? We can't track it, but we need tracking, correct? So because everyone is using the same username and password, end of the day, who does something, we can't track. So that is the reason everyone will log in with our own username and password. So I logged in with my username and password. Okay, maybe while creating this particular server, I give my username password, but in companies, so these usernames you will not create locally like this. So every system that is created, it automatically gets integrated with Active Directory, okay, or some sort of a Active Directory, by the way. So you'll have a centralized login system. So that means whatever the system you logged in, um, with, I mean, for an example, when you join a company, they'll give you one email, and email, right? So you'll get one username, password. You'll get an email, you get a username, you get a password. Okay, when you join a company, the same username, passwords, email passwords, you will log into each and every system, by the way. So that means tomorrow you're leaving the organization. So one centralized place, they will try to remove your access, and every damn system in your organization, your account will get deactivated. So that is how the enterprise organizations operate, by the way. So usually every servers will have their every servers will be integrated into those systems, and so we'll always log into those particular systems with our standard username and password. So this may be a lab, by the way. So we're just assuming our username password we entered. Okay, assuming it is a single sign-on user, single sign-on we call it up. Okay, our Active Directory. So even though when you go out and say that, how do you log into your system, you always say that you log in with your Active Directory username and password, AD username and password only. So that gives an impression that, okay, oh, fine. So this guy is working in some sort of a serious environment, by the way. Okay. All right. And stepping back, now I will not log in as a root user. So I'll not have access to the root user. I'll not log in, but I always log in as a normal user to the system. So root user and all, some administrator, it may be you also, will have this will have a root user and this password, and some sort of a pretty rare maintenance activities, we will try to log into the system with the root password. Okay, and of course you're disabling the root login, but there are maintenance ways you can get into the system. By the way, that's a different story. Let's forget about that. So, but here, so it's always going to be a normal user, which is our user logging into the system. Now I log into the system, by the way. Now let's say I am a DevOps engineer. There's an application running. There is a application running. Now I'm trying to kill the application because I'm a DevOps engineer. Okay, I deal with the applications. I want to stop the application. Whatever the reason it is, I am actually thinking of stopping the application. For an example, here is Crony is an application, so which is a Crony server. Crony service. Crony is basically as a time service. It will maintain the time sync in your server. Okay, so I wanted to just stop this service. Now I'm trying to kill the process. I'm not able to do that. Now what we have to do is, okay, so we always log into the system as a normal user, but perform the work to be done as a root user. So then to do this, so there is a bridge, there's a gap, right? You always need to log in as a normal user, but normal user will not have privileges, right? And the privileged user has privileges, but you can't log in as a privileged user. There's a gap. right? Now to bridge this gap, there's a privilege escalation tools comes into picture, and the major one that we use generally is sudo. Okay, so the major one that we're going to use is sudo. All right, so that is how we are going to use sudo and try to gain some privileges and do the work. So now, even though I am logged in as a normal user, I'll always have the privileges to deal with my application, or maybe I'm the owner of the system, so I can have the privileges to the system as well. That depends upon the organization again. So whether they're giving the full access or they're giving a half access and things like that. So it's all depends upon the organization. But ideally, like since you're the owner of the machine, there's no point that not give you access. You will get the access. Okay, since usually engineers will gain the access. Okay, and that's where so I can use this particular privilege escalation method. So sudo is a default one in the Linux operating system, which is free of cost. But there are companies who wanted to take this, so authentication very seriously. So they go with some sort of a pay tools also, like Power Broker or Centrify. So there are third-party tools, even they can control, so many things on your login to the system. Okay, they can allow you to only execute only 10 commands in the system, 5 commands in the system. Okay, and each and every command you are doing can be literally recorded. Okay, a lot of all these particular compliance and governance related things comes into the picture, because logging into the server is the most riskiest thing that no one will give you the access. Okay, so maybe you're learning Linux, you're just logging into the system and learning Linux, that's okay. But if we were to think about giving the access, or let's say in an organization, you will not be given access to any of the system. By the way, you need to deal with everything through automation. Okay, you have to push the things with automation and all. Okay, that is the ideal goal of today's, today's needs, by the way, on uh, in terms of securing your servers, not to get it exploited, by the way, because as such is the most riskiest thing that you give it to any person, by the way. Okay, so that's why we always try to avoid the things getting into the system. Okay, so that's a different story, by the way. But anyhow, coming back, by the way, I'm a normal user. I logged into the system, but I should have a privileges to do that. The privilege escalation, so default is sudo in the system, so we're going with the sudo. Now I already have some sudo privilege in the system, so now I'm going to go and try to kill this particular process. So now sudo, I'm going to tell kill the process. Now that process has got killed. Now ps-ef. Now there is no more crony, you can see here. It's gone. Okay, so that's where we're going to gain the privileges by using um, the privilege escalation tool in Linux. We are getting sudo as default. We're also using sudo. All right. So that is how we can. So that's how we can do the things. Okay, and this is how we do the things. So we'll always log in with our user. Our user will not have default, some privileges to do some things. I'll take the help of sudo and I'll perform the activity. Now what all I have done, everything is being tracked in the system. Okay, so let me show you. So what all I have done, okay, so tail -n, let's say 30 lines maybe, where log secure. So everything got tracked into the system. So it is telling somewhere I used a kill command, right? Okay, it should be even before to that then. Tail -n. So it tracks many things. Seriously. Yeah. So sudo kill sound 61. is a, I mean, there's a lot of track happens in the system, by the way. And so now here it is telling, so you killed a process called as 761. Who killed this process? If we want to track it, so it is being executed by sudo, okay, and by the user name called as Raghu, okay. So, and the command he executed is, this is the command. So now you can't escape, by the way. Everything gets tracked in the system properly, okay. Though you use given you the sudo, okay. So then, okay, people, I mean, basically can track you. The system tracks everything. Okay, and usually, like, so the threat detecting systems and all will be there, so which is, the same logs will get pushed to some centralized place. And so there is some sort of analysis will happen, so which is called as SEIM tools, by the way. Okay, so security information and event management systems, which is SIEM, sorry, security information and event management tools. Okay, so what is happening is they detect miscellaneous activities over the network along with the server as well, like server logs you are pushing. Okay, anything that is happening which is not organic. Now, let's say I logged into the system and I kill the process. Let's say if it detects this is an organic way, is all okay. Okay. Otherwise, if it detects that there is some organic, so some incidents will be created. And okay, so I mean, sometimes your accounts also get logged and all these things will happen. Okay. And I mean, some tools are there for this. Most of the, I mean, major tool here, at least I would be, okay, I've been using is Splunk, by the way. So Splunk is one of the well-known tool in that area. Okay. So to detect the event management things. All right, so that's what it is. So everything get tracks in the system, so nothing to worry. In the enterprise organizations, everything is properly set it up. And in the, just always, you may not get the access also to the system. Giving the access is the most risky thing. Now all these activities and all can happen, so it always go through automation. If it is going through automation, it goes through a code, and the code will always be reviewed by a couple of more eyes and approvals and all. So it's all goes with less risk, but that's right. All right. So that's about something about sudo. Now, if you're interested how to configure this sudo and all, I have provided a link, but assuming you already have an access, so I'll just start using that particular access. Yeah. Any questions? Hope I'm audible. Okay, moving on. I don't see any hands and questions. So the next is we would have done the user management, right? Why service? Yeah. So anything is okay. All right. So since we're talking about the user concepts only, let me go with the user thing here, user management. So we use our servers to run our web applications. I mean, going back to the roles and responsibilities where we started, right? So Miro, if you remember, so we started from here. So the roles and responsibilities is basically is this, and even we talked about some business, by the way. So what is a business? The business we are running is SDLC. In the SDLC, again, web-based applications, right? Web-based applications means this some application running on the some server, correct? Now I wanted to run this particular service inside my Linux box, okay? And so these applications are going to be running as a process in the system, okay? And this process needs to be run as a normal user, okay, rather than running it as a root user for security best practices, okay? As per security best practices, we are going to run this particular we are going to run this particular um, run this particular process as a normal user, not as a root user. Okay. So in order to run our applications as a normal user, so then we need to add a user for our application to run. We would like to add a user to our application to run, and this is not a real user, so that's where it may not come in the Active Directory. Okay. So this is just a system user, so which we are going to use only to run our application only. Okay. So we will not log into this user and all. Okay. We'll just run the uh, application with this user. That's it. So we don't log in with this particular username, and this user shouldn't have a login, by the way, because again, if everyone having the same username and password logging in, okay, there is no point. Again, you can't track the things, right? So that's where, so any user which is to run the application, it is doing the functional job. Okay, it is usually called as functional user. So this is a functional user, we call it up. So to run some functionality, okay, basically the functionality is through some application, will create these users, whether you call this an application user, some companies will call it as functional user, some companies will call it as daemon users. Okay. So whatever it is all terminology. When I say company, people, by the way, so a different terminology will come into picture, and this is what um, I mean, this is what we how to do, by the way. So like basically like add a user, and you can add by using a user add command. So you can add the user by using user add command. Now again, the same user add command, you will not be able to add a user. For an example, I'm trying to add a sample user. It is telling, okay, so permission denied. I can't do that because I'm not a root user, right? So that's where I mean, I didn't log in as a root, right? So it's normal user. So I need to gain the privilege by using sudo. So now sudo user add sample, and this user has been created. And if you want to verify, ID space sample. Okay. So you can see that sample user has been created and some information about the sample user is being shown there. So that means every user will have a user ID, and that is being shown there. Okay. So this is how we are going to deal with that. So we are going to add the user. Now with this particular user, we are going to run some applications, by the way. So now how to run the applications and all. So it's basically, you will see that later, how to create your own services, how to run how to run an application with a particular user. Okay. So how do you do that and all? So we'll talk that bit later. And also if you try to just look at some of the standard softwares that is available in the industry, okay, if you try to run them, okay, we'll see that um, that process are being running as a normal user only. Okay. So just to justify my statement, I am just trying to do something in the system, and that brings certain process in the system. So let's try to find out, so those particular process. There's an Apache web server, there's Apache Tomcat, there's a MySQL database, which is MariaDB. So now these are all very standard and widely used softwares. Now let's find out whether these guys are also following the same standard what we're talking about. Any process should run as normal user. So that's what our call out is, right? So let's go and try to find it out. So it is doing some small work in the system to run the process. So let's wait for that. just taking longer than expected. I don't know where it is stuck also. It's stuck actually. I think this 1 GB guy RAM is a problem. So I'm trying to start many things. Let me stop and start.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah,
Yeah, so is there a way you can, is there a way you can bump up the memory,
you
like
can.
without, oh, okay.
Not without stopping, by stopping. You
Oh,
can
so
also.
after stopping, you can do that.
Yeah.
Hi, Raghu. In real-time scenarios, also we need to stop the servers to add memory.
Of course.
Okay, so there will be downtime then.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It's a little lazy process in Azure. I'm not sure how much time it will take. I will at least go with the new machine with a little bit higher capacity. Also, I'm okay. At least I'm okay as long as I'm getting the capacity. Still should not shut down also. Okay, I'll just quickly log into the other system. Yeah, I would like to just again run the same thing. So what's going on the system? So if I see this, there is a trying to install some software. Yes. Yeah, it just completed. Now you can start looking at the process by the information. So ps-ef pipe for HTTP. Okay, you can see that there's a web server running, is all running with Apache user, by the way, right? So a username is Apache. So they're respecting the security, right? So security standards and ps-ef pipe for Tomcat. Okay, so here the Tomcat is running as a Tomcat user and ps-ef pipe for Maria. So you can see that MariaDB is running as MySQL. Okay, is also running as MySQL. See, any software, okay, any standard software that you generally install on the systems is going to follow the security standards. Otherwise, they can't become a widely used ones, right? So they follow security standards, and also they will, try. I mean, they'll try to run as per the standards. They'll try to run it as a normal user. So that's the idea. So that means to run our application also, we need to add the user. Okay, that much we need to ensure. All right, so this is how we are going to do the things. Does it make sense? Any questions? All right, so let's move on to the next one then. Now we are DevOps engineers, by the way, so we need to install softwares, we need to run the applications, all these particular things, because server, right? So we need to do that. So in order to deal with the softwares, we need to deal with the package management, or we need to install softwares and all. So installing the softwares and all is going to be done through package management. Okay, so package management is a key admin activity most of the time the DevOps guy would do, because we need to run our applications, and in order to run the applications, we need to install some software and things like that. So we should know the installations part, and that's where in Red Hat family, okay, we are going to use something called as RPMs, Red Hat Package Manager, and the softwares will be like .rpms. And if you were to see the list of packages which is already installed in our system, so then what you're going to do is, which is sudo dnf list installed. DNF is a command, okay, which is going to be available. Sudo DNF, you give me a list which are installed. You're telling DNF list installed. It is showing you the list of packages which is installed in your system, currently installed in your system. And also at the same time, DNF also can tell you, so what all the packages which are available to install. So now available. So these are all the packages which are available to install. Okay. So these packages are not local in your system. These are from some sort of a remote place. What all these places, we'll talk just in a while. But yeah, so this is what we are getting it. So sudo DNF list available to show you the packages which are available to install. If you want to get both, if you want to get a case that, we want to get installed and are available both things, then you can just go for DNF list all. It will show you both installed and as well as available. And maybe you can search for an example, you can search for something. Okay, for an example, I can see a package name here, so which is JDNC-devel, something like that. I'll search for that. Now this shows me that particular package name. But however, how do you identify here whether the package is installed or not installed is, for an example, if I go for a package name, maybe my is basically like HTTPD. Okay, so you got a lot of output. Now you can see this, I search for HTTPD. So you got everything, like all means both, right? You get installed and as well as this one. Now here you can see this, the last third column, if it is showing @ symbol, that means it is already installed. Okay, if there is no @ symbol, that means it is not installed. A simple identification that you can do from DNF list output is, if a third column is showing @ symbol, then it is installed one. So that's where sudo DNF list installed is showing you all the packages with that @ at the one. Whereas available was not showing @ in the last column. All right. So this is how you can identify whether the package is installed or not installed. And if you want to install some package, then you can start using by using DNF install nginx, some package name, let's say sudo DNF install nginx. Okay, so it is going to install the nginx software. Now it is telling that, hey, I'm going to use nginx software, but however, I am trying to download this much size, by the way. So can I go ahead and use this? Is what it is telling. So if you say yes, it will proceed. If you say no, it will just stop there and then. So we just install this particular software. All right. So this is how we are going to deal with installing a package. Now, if it is asking in between yes or no, and you don't want to be asked yes or no, so then what you can do is you can just simply go and give -y option at the ending. So I just picked up some random package. So I'm just trying to install DNF install jetmap. So if you don't want to be asked yes or no, you just give -y. Now it did not ask me any yes or no, automatically it proceeded. Okay, so this is how we're going to deal with it. All right. Now, if you want to remove a package, simply the same thing which you are doing. So we go for remove. Remove. All right. So that's how you have to do it. Now you can also update a package if there is any update by using DNF update package name. You can do an update. And if you want to do the whole system update, DNF update, by the way. So which I'm not interested at this point of time, but yeah. So you can always do an update. That's about how do you find out a package and how do you install a package. But at the same time, if you're wondering where these packages DNF is actually managing, and I mean, if you have wondered how DNF is managing the installation, where this package is getting downloaded from and all, so now you need to understand that. So there is a location where it is going to look for. Okay, so all the information of the packages where it to be downloaded and all. So cd/etc.repos.d do ls. So you can see a lot of repo files. Using these particular repo files, it's going to just it is going to just talk to the appropriate repo and download from that particular location. So for example, if I go with this one, so head of this guy, so it is trying to talk to some place which is called as some mirrors.almalinux.org, and from this particular place, it is trying to get the packages. Okay. Now, for an example, let's try to do one small thing. So we try to install sudo dnf install Jenkins. Now I'm trying to install a package. Now, most of the packages which are available, you're trying to install all the time, which is provided by the vendor of Amazon, sorry, by the vendor of Red Hat, by the way. Okay. Now, if you want to install, there's a lot of third-party softwares. If I want to install this third-party, so DNF install Jenkins. So now you can see that it is telling there is no such package called as Jenkins. So Jenkins is one of the widely used software as well, but that package is not there. So this is a third party. Now for this particular case, so what you need to do is you need to go to the vendor. They will offer you some sort of a repo files. Okay. So here, if you go here and I'll go for jenkins.io. Okay, their page, and I'll go for a download option, and I'll be choosing a Red Hat. Okay, any family like Red Hat, it can be Fedora, Alma, Rocky, CentOS, it can all are same only, no change. Then they are providing one repo file. So this is the repo file they're providing, right? So now if I come here, so sudo, I want to download this file because normal user I can't download the call-o. I give that. You get a permission denied. Whereas that's where I'm going to use sudo. So it will just download the file. So ls. Now cat jenkins.repo file, you have it. Now sudo dnf install Jenkins. So it will just going to try to install that particular package. Okay, I'm giving no for now. That's okay. But yeah, so previously it was giving no Jenkins package. By adding the repository, by the way, a repo file. So the repo file having the location of where the packages are available. Now your DNF command can go to that location and find out the information. Okay. So this is how the vendors offer their own repos, and within the system, you can add them and run. All right. So that is how we are going to. So that's how we are going to deal with the package management in the operating system. Clear? Does it make sense? Any questions? And also, if you have some URL of a package, you can directly give the URL also, it can do the job. So I have this URL, and if I try to give the install of that particular package, it will go and download that particular package and install that package. Sometimes repo file also may not be needed, and some vendors may not give the repo file also. Okay, so that's how we got this. Right? Yeah. That's all on the package management. Clear? Any questions? Okay. The next is service management for last for today, by the way. Now, service management is to manage the services. So server is meant to serve. Server is meant to serve, by the way, something, right? So now those services you want to manage, which is in the system. So that's where the service management will come into picture. Okay. So if you want to see the list of services running inside the system, so then so sudo systemctl list units. So it will just show you some lot of services, whether those are running, exited, and all. I'm pressing Q to come out. I have to press Q to come out. But yeah, so it is showing you like that. Now the next is if you want to see the package status, by the way, so systemctl, we installed one software called as Nginx. Nginx is a service. It comes with a service. So systemctl status Nginx. It is telling it is, I mean, it is a loaded one, but it's not running. It's inactive. You just install the package. That's it. Okay. Now you go and give systemctl start Nginx. Okay, start Nginx. So this does nothing. It just opens one process in the system. It just runs its appropriate process. ps-ef for Nginx. So Nginx runs, by the way. Okay, so now you can go and view status once again. So it will show you that it is running. So now you can go for stop. Okay, so you can go and look for the status. It is saying that it is inactive and that. Okay, so you can find out a service name and you can just start your services. And so here this service is a file, by the way, it is coming in this location. So cat that service file, you will see the service file, like, so what to start and all. When someone is asked to start, so it is running this command. Okay. So later we'll also, when we actually try to install some, when we try to set up some custom applications and all, we are going to go for creating our own service files later in the project. Let the project come, let the requirement come. So that time we are going to talk about how do we set up our own services with systemd. So the service can be managed like any other service in the operating system. So how do you manage that? So we're going to see that particular one. Right. So this is how we are going to deal with. So systemctl status Nginx now, fine. And also you can give start is one action and stop is one action. Okay. And also you have something called as restart also. Okay. So when you make some changes to the service and all, you want to get it restarted. So then restart Nginx also will come. You can do that. Just stop the service and start the service. Now the same service, if you look in, okay, so if you go for status, it is telling you the service is currently disabled, by the way. And also the preset is disabled. Preset means when you install the software, what was the status? Disabled only. And what is the current status? Current status is also disabled. Okay. So now, if you go to the sudo, if I go for a reboot of the system, I just hit a reboot. So that means system is going to get restarted. Okay. Let the restart of the service happens. Now, sorry, restart of the server happens. Whatever the reason it is, I shut down the machine. I start the machine. Okay. Now what happens to my service, by the way? So let's go and try to see that. Okay. Now sudo systemctl status nginx. Now this service is not started. It just is inactive. Now, rather than this, if you wanted to start the services, CTL, enable Nginx. Now, this service is actually going to, sorry. Status. Now, this service is enabled. So that means even after a reboot, this service will start automatically. So now once again, reboot. So now it was enabled when we actually started, shut down the machine and start it. Now you go for a status, by the way, so automatically it is going to get enabled. Okay, so this is how we're going to deal with it. So we mostly enable the service so that even if the machine is rebooted, let's say you take our lab only, every day we'll stop the machine and start the machines. Automatically those services will be coming up. So which is a good thing, right? So that's where the service let them come up automatically as a part of server up, and we are good. And that's how you deal with the services. Now, how to add a new service and all, later it will come anyhow as a part of project. So let's understand from the project side and we'll try to add it. Otherwise, it's a very simple thing, nothing too much to worry. So this is how you manage your services, like stopping the service, starting your services. You just deal with an existing service which is there already in the system, but you can always go for adding your own services also to the system. How to add our own services, we'll talk about. Yeah, that's about on the service management. Any questions?
Yeah. Hi, Raghu, Manju here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question not related to today's class, yesterday class. So yesterday you have shared one Zoom link, right, for practice.
Azure, what I showed?
No, Zoom class for practice session.
Mm-hmm.
So is it weekend practice or a weekday practice?
It's already written here, right? Timings Monday to 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. IST every day.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi Raghu. So you see preset is enabled or disabled. So can we, when we actually install the service, can we make it enable at the time, like the preset?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Just vendor return that service file, preset as disabled. That's it, right? So you can also put preset as enabled also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He's just giving the engineer choice to choose, by the way. He's by default marking it as disabled. So some people maybe, some of the services, I think in our project that comes, especially the MongoDB, if I'm not wrong, their preset is enabled, by the way.
Oh.
Any other questions? I think I'm good for today, actually. So today, this much only I wanted to talk. So tomorrow it would be the last topic or last day for Linux basics. So we are going to cover a little bit more Linux commands, and then we'll just have some ground to the project. We'll get onto the project. Yeah, any questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, we're good to close. Any questions off the topic also is fine, since we have some time. So this is the first week only.
Yeah, Raghu. So when you say we are going to start a project and how this can be, like we are going to start directly project, or is there a process in coaching? You have shared the syllabus already. So first you will be teaching Linux and then Ansible, and then how you follow basically.
So it is given like this only, right? Project only it is given, right? Roadmap.
Yeah. First Azure and Linux, and then Ansible, something like that.
No, right? So one second. Let me open that. Okay, so here is the one, right? So it starts with Linux and next project only, right?
Okay.
The flow is that way only.
Okay. So the Azure fundamentals and Azure networking, everything will be followed in the project, or it will be a separate subject.
See, Azure is given parallel, by the way. That means,
Okay.
all the time Azure will be there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. See, fundamentally, I don't believe in the approach of top. I mean, like, let's say, police top subject, by the way. Why? Because, see,
Mhm.
basically, you go for an organization, you will not say that, first week only I'll do Azure. Okay, next week only I'll do something, right? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Your work will always end to end something. Okay. So your work
Yes.
is always a requirement based thing. So when the requirement is there, sometimes you have to touch 10 points, sometimes you have to touch only 2 points. So that's where
Right.
we always look at a problem always. So we'll pick up a problem and we'll solve the problems only. Yeah.
So if we scroll down a little bit, and there are the topics covered in Azure, so I've gone through the syllabus
Topics is
first.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that those all will be covered in the Azure Prime.
Correct.
So we don't need to learn Azure outside, right?
Yeah, ideally, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, and ideally, no, also, right? There is always more Azure.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right. So don't see any more hands. Thanks, everyone. So see you in tomorrow then. Okay. So, and let's close the Linux related things tomorrow, and we'll just look towards the next things. Not able to hear you, Samir.
Sir, I have 12 years career gap, sir. Can I get a job by learning this course?
So the answer is yes or no, right? So I can't tell, right? I can't predict future.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So you have to take it. If you wish to take it, you take it, and you have to try for it, by the way. So without leaving, and ultimately anyone will get it, right? So, I mean, they're very
Thank you, sir.
comfort questions, right? So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering.
Yeah. If you believe in getting something, you do for the belief, right? So someone believed that we can fly, and there is a flight came out of. Before to that, it was a non-belief. And there are many people who has done with that. I mean, what you're asking for. And there are many people who has not done that also, what you're asking for. So, I mean, it's
Okay.
it's all completely depend upon you only. It's not me or anyone.
So Raghu,
Yeah.
yeah, tomorrow is Thanksgiving over here. So
Yeah,
so
I am
how-
thinking that. So just excuse for tomorrow because this is the first week only. I don't want to take the break. But yeah, you can take, I mean, let's say, I know this tomorrow is Thanksgiving. You just take the break, and anyhow, the recording will be there. Maybe you cover the next
oh
2 days, 3 days.
okay.
It should be
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye. Good day. Good night.